everybody, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm coming at you with a quick interesting video for you today. I want to talk about load data. This video idea was brought to me by a fellow viewer out there, Andrew Coover. So this video is for you, bud. And I think the information that I'm going to include in this video is very good for all reloaders. So please stay with me. I'm going to try to make this video not too long-winded. I'm going to try to get right down to the details and the points of where do we find our load data. So stay with me. Hope you enjoy the video today. Okay, one of my very favorite sources of load data is books. You can't beat them. Books are great. There's several different types of books where you can find good load data. This happens to be the Lee Modern Reloading Manual. There's tons of information in this book. It's a really good source of information. I will say, you know, obviously you can see where they're talking about the reloading process a little bit, and it talks about how to care for your, you know, press and what different types of presses. It's all according to Lee. It's good information, but one thing that I've noticed about this source of information is the load data seems to be slightly on the conservative side. So if you're the type of loader that wants fairly conservative load data, this would be the book for you. It tells you what kind of trim lengths you need, what the overall lengths are, what kind of primers to use, and it tells you all kinds of different powders that you can use, all kinds of different calibers. It's an excellent source of information. Okay, so that's the Lee Modern Reloading Manual. This happens to be the second edition. I've used this for many years and got a lot of good data out of it, things like that. So that's the first source of information that I would recommend, the Lee book. The second source of information that I like is by Lyman, and if you're a bullet caster, I would highly recommend this Cast Bullet Handbook. This is an excellent source of information if you're a bullet caster, or if you're just a regular reloader. Again, it talks a little bit about molds. I'm trying to back this camera off, sorry guys. Talks a little bit about different types of molds that you can get, how to prep them, it talks a little bit about the history of certain calibers and things like that, how to reload. It goes through the process a little bit, but at the end of the book it really has a good section on reloading data. Like we're looking at the 223 Remington, for example. Gives you tons of information. It gives you lengths, overall lengths, trim lengths, shoulder dimensions. It gives you all the information that you need. It talks a little bit about the bullet. It talks a little bit about the specs of the bullet, what kind of twist on the barrel, what kind of diameter you need to size it to, all kinds of things. And when I say size, I'm talking about sizing the actual lead itself. See, it says cast bullet used. Let me see, I'm trying to hold the book right here. Cast bullet used. Let me get that. Hopefully I can get that up to you. Cast bullet used, size to .224. See, it gives you tons of information. It tells you again what the twist was on the barrel, what kind of velocities to expect. There's some good load data for you. 55 grain is a popular bullet for a 223. Gives you a bunch of different powders right here. Gives you a starting suggested load, an approximate velocity, the pressures that you're involved with, and the max load. It's just a great source of information. This is the Lyman Cast Bullet Handbook, 4th edition. I love this source of information. I don't go anywhere without it. It's a good book. Gives you all kinds of little shell holder charts at the end. What type of shell holder, what number, top punches. It's a great source of information. So you can't go on without that one. It's pretty cool. Formulas for mixing your alloys. That's pretty cool, since we're bullet casting, right? Shell holder charts. It's just an absolutely great source of information. the next one on my list is the Lyman Reloading Handbook, 49th edition. This is a beautiful book. I use this one for the majority of my load data. Just like the other Lyman book that I just showed you, it talks a little bit about, you know, history of loading. It talks a little bit about the process, why we reload. It gives you a lot of information. Good stuff. Getting started, what you need, safety. You can learn a lot from these books. Tells you some of the things that you need. You know, you need your dyes, your lubricant, your pad, your glasses, funnel, your loading blocks. I mean, it's a really good book. Tons of information in here. Bear with me. I don't like how that's too close. So you just move forward. In the book, it talks about what to look for in your cases to see if you have any cases that are bad or any kind of problems. Just it's an excellent source if you're reloading. This book is amazing. Even takes a little bit about casting, and then it gets into cleaning your guns, how to clean your rifling. Shows you the different patches. But again, this is a reloading book. So at the end, that's where the bread and butter is. That's where all your reloading data is. It talks a little bit about each caliber. See that? And it gives you all the specs for the lengths, trim, all that stuff. Tells you what primers, small rifle primers, what type of trim to length. One thing that I like about this one is if you look at your overall length, like on this this is a 204 Ruger. I just flipped to this page. Your overall length is 2.260, right? But that changes based on what bullet you're using. So if you're using a different bullet, they update the overall length for you. So 2.25, they would say to actually make it a little shorter for that bullet. Or this one, 2.26. See, so you can look for things like that in here. This book covers handgun rounds as well as rifle rounds. It actually has a section in there that you have to be careful if you're a handgun loader. So, like for example, I just flipped over here, 45 Colt. It'll say handgun right here. And there's also a section in there that'll say Thompson Contender, like 357 maximum. It'll say Thompson Contender, and it'll also say where was that, like for a single shot rifle. But make sure that when you're loading your data, when you're finding your data, that if you're loading for a handgun, make sure you're under handgun, and if you're loading for a rifle but it's a pistol cartridge, make sure that you're under the appropriate section in this book, because the load data does change slightly. Based on if you're using it, and I'm speaking only pistol cartridges, if you're using it in a rifle or if you're using it in a handgun. Like one of the ones that comes to mind right off the top of my head would be the 357 Magnum, for example. So if you're loading handgun, make sure you're on the handgun section, and if you're in a 357 mag for like a single shot rifle or a Thompson Contender, make sure you're in the right section, because I've seen people make that mistake before. There's like here 44 Remington Magnum. So if you didn't know, you might flip right to this and it might give you load data, but look over here. That page is for rifles and single shot, you know, barreled, like a rifle, like a Thompson Contender, which is a pistol, but it's got a long barrel. Where if you come find 44 Magnum back here in the pistol section, let's see. See, now we're in 44 Magnum handgun portion of the book, and the load data does change. So make sure you're aware of that. I'm not trying to be too long-winded, but I just thought that was necessary for you guys to know that little bit of information. Okay, there's one more thing that I forgot to mention, and that is two things. When you're looking at your load data, And right now we're looking at 30-06. It doesn't matter what the caliber is, but there's a couple little hints that I wanted to talk about. That's these right here. When you're looking down at this load data, you'll see this IMR 4064. You see that's in bold. Generally speaking, whenever you see something that's in bold like that, what they're trying to tell you is for that particular weight of bullet, that charge, you see it's bold at 52 grains, that is their most accurate charge that they found, okay, in their studies, in their research. So again, you want to kind of come around when you're looking at this load data, and you want to try to find the ones that are in bold, again, because they're the most accurate. If it was bold on the low side, like for this one, for example, we're looking at a 150 grain bullet. You can see that IMR 4064 is bold at 48 grains. So they say the low load is the one that they found to be more accurate, where if you move up to the 165 grain, it's the same powder that was doing well, but it was the 52 grain load. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Now the second thing that I wanted to mention was in reference to these little plus signs. You might, on some load data, you might have this little plus sign like this, and on others you might have a letter C, the capital letter C next to it. What that refers to is a compressed charge, and what they mean by that is when you're loading that bullet, the powder charge is so much that as you seat the bullet, you will be pushing that powder down, compressing it. Okay, it's not unsafe or anything like that. It's perfectly fine, but the air to powder ratio in the case is going to be majority powder. So those are those little plus signs. That's suggesting that it's a compressed load. It could also be the letter C, as I mentioned earlier. So there's a little note right here on the book that kind of tells you about that. The load shown in, let's see, bear with me. Shaded panels are maximum. Okay, and what they mean by shaded is that's this section. These are max loads. That's what they're talking about. And the loads showed in bold designate potentially most accurate load. The plus sign designates a compressed powder charge. So just keep those in mind. Those are important things to know. Another source of information that I like to use to get reloading data is a magazine. Just a simple reloading magazine. You can find these at a lot of your bookstores, Barnes & Noble, things like that, Hastings. You can find these magazines, and inside they not only talk about guns and reloading, but they talk about new calibers on the market. And they also, in the rear of the book, they do have some load data, and they usually have rifle and pistol data. So this is another good source. I don't think I would recommend this source to be my only source of data, but if you're the person who, say you're just a person out there that have one caliber that you're loading for, maybe you're just a 223 Remington guy or a 30-06 guy, and you just have one bullet that you want to reload for, something like this could probably get you by. But if you're a guy that wants to load multiple calibers, I would recommend, yes, look into something like this as well, but something like I mentioned earlier, one of those books, they have tons of information, and you would be able to get multiple recipes out of that. So yeah, something like this would be good, like I mentioned, if you're just looking at one particular caliber. I'm looking to try to find the pistol data. They do have pistol data in here. I haven't seen it yet. On the top of the pages up here, it says rifle. I'm looking to where it says pistol. I'm almost certain that yeah, there we go. Pistol data. See? So you got a lot of good information out of a magazine like this. Another source of information would be to go to your local gun shop. If you live in a small town, large town, doesn't matter. Go find your local gun shop and ask them if they have a basic reloading manual. Something like this. Okay, a lot of the powder manufacturers get together and they produce these basic reloading manuals. And what this is it's a short version of reloading data. Like right here, it's all talking about shot shell data, shotgun stuff, right? Then let's see, what are we getting into here? Oh, there's some chart. Looks like some bushing chart. And that's all shotgun stuff. This is a very good source of information as well. I think there's some pistol and rifle data in there too. See, we're in a pistol data section. So yeah, it gives you all kinds of powders. There's our 45 Colt, for example. Winchester large pistol primers, 200 grain cast bullet. See, there's also rifle data. 300 Win Mag. See, large rifle primers. Gives you a list of powders that you can use. Gives you a suggested load, an approximate velocity, and the amount of pressure that they would expect out of that bullet, and what the weight is. 24-inch barrel, things of that nature. So this is a good source of information as well. They're free generally. It's a basic reloading manual. If you can't find them at a local gun shop, feel free to go online to the website. You can see that Winchester, IMR, and Hodgdon are all kind of together on this. So I would recommend going to any one of those three websites and searching for basic reloading manual. Now, I haven't been there to actually find it on my own because I've always found these at my local gun shops. But I'm sure if you went to their website, you could probably find a spot somewhere on there where you could order one of these and they'd ship it to you. I'm pretty confident that you could do that. Another source of data that I like to use is this Alliant Powder Company. If you go to their website, and you can also find these at your local gun shop as well, just like I found this, okay? But this Alliant one, you can go to the Alliant website, they make powder, and you can request this, what do they call it, Reloader's Guide. And this is pretty cool. It gives you some safety rules, talks a little bit about, there's some bushing charts and stuff like that, reference tables, there's that bushing chart. But more specifically, it gets into reloading data. It gives you a full line of their powders that they offer, okay? And then it starts talking about rifle data and pistol data. Let me find that. Okay, see, there we're still in shotguns. That's still shotgun stuff. Now we're in pistol data. Right there by my thumb. So you could find some pistol data. The only downside to a manual like this is it's proprietary to their specific powder that they manufacture. So they're not going to give you load data for an IMR powder in this manual. Okay, it's only Alliant powder. So if you're using, you know, Hodgdon or something like that, you're not going to find that load data in here. This is only the powders that they produce. Power Pistol, Unique, Blue Dot. These are all unique powders. Okay, 44 Rim Mag. I personally like to use Unique. I'm usually using that 240 grain cast bullet. Gives you a little bit, 7 grains of powder. It gives you a velocity, 899, and that's a good velocity because you're not going to have to worry about leading too much. So I'm still on the pistol portion. Now we're looking at rifle load data. See that up there? So this is, again, it's the same thing. 223 Remington is a very popular round. It gives you a list of bullets. I like a 55 myself, reloader number 10, 10X. It tells you what primer they used. And here is your minimum overall length. and then your charge weight, 23 grains, and then your approximate velocity. So this, again, is a really good source of information. You can get it from their website or your local gun shop. Sometimes if they do any kind of reloading stuff, they might have one of these sitting on the shelf. If you have powder by Hodgdon, a lot of times you will see on their chart, on their powder, 357 Magnum, it'll give you a charge weight, and it'll give you what bullet, what primer, what your case overall length is, and it'll give you your velocity expected. That's for this specific powder. They give you reloading data right on the label. Hodgdon does that. That's one good option that you can, where you can find load data. Here's another example of a Hodgdon powder. This is Varget. This say 223 Remington, for example. 27.5 grains of Hodgdon. That's pushing a 55 grain bullet. Excuse me, small rifle primer, 2.20. See how the case overall length changes? Of course, we're getting into different calibers, but 2.20, 3384 feet per second. But again, the Hodgdon powder, they generally give you load data. Here's another example. This one happens to be a rifle powder. I like to use this one on my 7 mag. 7 rem mag. If you were a 300 Win Mag guy, even a 270 guy. Let's look at 270. 59.5 grains, 135 bullet, large rifle primers, 3.34, 3010 feet per second. That's some information that you could use for load data. And last but not least, of course, I'm going to talk here in a minute about online stuff, but another option is past experience. You've got some old brass here sitting. There's one bullet left. See that? It's an old reload that I've done. But look, there's a piece of paper inside. 7 rem mag. I write down exactly what primer I used, what my powder was, IMR 4350, 58.8 grains, what my bullet was. Looks like it was a Game King, 3.285. What gun I shot it out of, and what my velocities were when I chronoed it. This was a good hunting bullet, hunting load. So you can find, if you write down all your stuff like I recommend, when I do my reloading videos, you know, I write down all my stuff. Here's another example, 3030 Winchester. I have some bullets in there, right? Those are cast bullets. There's a ton of load data on there. So you can, if you keep things documented, sometimes, you know, I've seen people that have a small notepad, and they'll write their own load data on that notepad, and they get tons of notes established, and it works really good, you know, by documenting all that stuff, because then they don't forget recipes that worked. And it might have been a recipe that they went out in the field and tested time after time. They chronoed it, checked the velocity, they checked the accuracy of the load, and they might have found a sweet spot for that particular gun. And like in this case, that's what my gun likes. I've dialed it down to that. It likes this load. So I kind of stay with that. It works real good for me. Okay, I touched earlier about going online and getting these manuals. Okay, I touched on that earlier about these online manuals. But what I didn't touch on was the print charts that you can get from, for example, the Alliant website. I keep them in here printed up, and I'll show you what they look like just as an example. These are print charts that you go to on the Alliant website. And like this one is for, what caliber am I looking at? 9mm. See, you go to alliantpowder.com/reloaders. You'll find it. I'll show you here in a minute when we get online. But you've got the 9mm. It gives you, again, this is specific to Alliant powder, but you can print these off for whatever caliber you're wanting to work on. 38 special, and you can even make it where you're picking just a particular powder and all the data is based on that powder. Like in our case, 38 special, Alliant unique. So you can narrow it down just based on that powder alone. I'll show you that here in a minute when we go online. Okay, now I'd like to talk a little bit with you guys about online research for load data. Now you can see my cursor swinging around, that little arrow. I'm going to go to my internet browser. Here is the Accurate Reloading Powder website, and if you go right here, there's this third tab, and this is a load data tab. You can click on this, and all of these recipes are specific to Accurate powders. So right here, expanded data, or you could check out their metallic reloading guide. Either one of these is good. The expanded one has more recent information. And look at right here, it says order our new reloading and load data guide. I don't know if that's free or not. Let's take a look. $2.99. So that would definitely be something that you could purchase. So let's go back up. Let's get rid of that one. And let's go back to this expanded data publication. So when you open that, you'll see information on the newest calibers that are available. These are just different calibers that they might have some new load data or something like that. Like for example, this is a new one that's pretty popular, updated January 27th of 2014. This is the new 270 Winchester Short Mag. That's kind of a new popular cartridge. Here's one for 7.62 by 39 Russian for the AK-47 guys out there. Let's check that one out. So you click on load data and look what happens. They give you load data specific to the 7.62 by 39. I don't like how that got small. Let's go right here and add this thing a little bit, make it a little larger so you guys can see it a little better. See, this is simply based on their powder. It gives you 21-inch barrel, 1.9.5, 1 by 9.5 twist, Winchester large rifle primers, the bullet diameter. That would have been, I guess, if the guy was casting, 0.310, 0.311. Winchester case, 1.528 max case length, trim length, 1.518. And more specifically, you go down here and it gives you the different types of bullets and the different types of weights in reference to this particular powder. I'm trying to highlight this. See, I don't want to highlight everything, but it'll give you Accurate 5744 as your powder, and those are the bullets that you can run with that powder. If you use this powder, 1680, it'll give you these bullets. So again, it gives you a starting suggested load right here, 19.7, but it'll also give you a max load. Don't exceed 24.6 for this bullet. Gives you your approximate velocity, feet per second wise, and it gives you your max velocity. It also gives you your case overall length. So that is, again, that's the load data from the Accurate website. See that? So you can access all of that stuff right there from their website. Now we're looking at the Alliant website. Okay, let's there was the Accurate one I just showed you. Let's go look at the Alliant website. Remember that reloader's guide that I gave you, or that I showed you? That's it right here. Reloader's guide. Enter your zip code, and I believe you could probably order one. It'll give you information on where to get your where the dealers are, and they can get you one of those guides. But I believe they can send one to you also. you'd probably have to contact them up here and send them an email and say, hey, can you please give me one of those reloader guides? I really dig that. And I'm sure they'd put one in the mail for you. So right here, again, we're under the Reloaders Guide section of the Alliant Powder website. So you got to go down, read their little disclaimer, and then when you click enter, you're basically agreeing and understanding the disclaimer. Now you can scroll down and say, for example, remember all that stuff that I showed you that was pistol data for the 9mm and all these pistol cartridges, and I was using Alliant Unique? You can find all that here too. I'll show you that here in a second. But this is all your pistol cartridges. Obviously you could see that there was rifle cartridges down there too. So 38 special, let's see, maybe 158 grain cast bullet. Let's take a look at that right here in the middle. 38 special right there. See that? We're going to go click on this cast bullet. There's some, this is the powder, BE86. This is for a 38 special, 158 grain cast bullet. View this recipe. If you click this, it'll just basically show you the powder and it'll show you the recipe. Now let's back up here. Let's go back to the beginning, back to Reloader's Guide. Enter the guide. Let's go by powder. Let's see, how did I do that? I did that before. Let's see, products. You got to go to the products, and then let's say you're a handgun guy, and we're going to use Alliant Unique right here. That's one of my favorite powders. Now, you see right here it says view all unique recipes. That's where I'm getting my data. Then you scroll down and it tells you this is the powder you're looking at, and these are all the things you can load for that powder. Go down to the 38 special. I want to use unique in my 38 special. There's the data. Remember those papers that I had printed that I showed you? This is where I got those. You can print it right here. Click this button and it'll print right off your computer, and you can have them just like I had them in my book. Okay? It's a pretty cool website. Again, this is the Alliant website. The next three, I have IMR, I have Winchester, and I have Hodgdon. These three powders, remember that other reloading guide that I showed you that had the three powders, IMR, Winchester, and Hodgdon? It had all three of them on the cover. That's because all three of these people, IMR, Winchester, and Hodgdon, they all share this reloading data center. Okay, right now I'm at imrpowder.com right here. And you can find their reloading data center there. You can also go to Winchester, www.powder.com/index.html. I don't even think you would need that index. Let's try it .com. Let's erase all that. I think, yeah, see? I'm at www.powder.com. There's all the Winchester powders, and there's the same reloading data center. Same thing with Hodgdon. Hodgdon.com shows you their stuff, their powder, their products, and right here is the reloading data center. See that? So when you click on that, it's going to take you, and it doesn't matter if you're going through Winchester, IMR, or Hodgdon, it takes you to the same exact place. So we're here. This is our Reloaders data place where we can find data, and you just choose. Do you want pistol data? You want rifle data? Let's say we want 30-06. Go to rifle, click on it. Now you come to this page. So from here, what do you want to load for? We want a 30-06, right? Let's go down here, scroll down, make sure that you're getting the exact cartridge that you're looking for. So like if you're a 7mm guy, make sure you're looking for 7mm Remington Magnum instead of 7mm Ultra Remington Magnum or something like that. Here's 30-06. Click on that. Now it's going to ask you what type of bullet weight do you have. Well, Oh, let's do a 165 grain bullet. Step 3, powder. If you don't care what powder you can use, who the powder manufacturer is, leave that blank. And if you don't care what powder, leave that blank and just click Get Data. But if you want to use a Hodgdon powder, click Hodgdon, and what it'll do is it'll minimize this list based on only Hodgdon powders. Or vice versa, if you want just IMR, it'll give you only IMR powders. But if you leave this box unchecked, it'll give you a list of all the powders. Click Get Data, and what happens is it'll take you to that website. It'll give you 39 results. Here's that 165 grain bullet, and all these bullets that it's going to list are all 165s. You can hit this plus sign and it'll expand that one. It'll open that one up. This is a Hornady GMX bullet, 165 grain. Again, it gives you Hodgdon H4350 308 diameter bullet, 3.225, starting load 51.0, 2587 feet per second, 48,600 psi of pressure, or your max load 55.4 grains of powder. Again, that's H4350 powder that I'm looking at. 2781 is your velocity, and your pressure is 59,200. See, so again, if you want the IMR powder, I like how this thing highlights the whole row for you. Depending on where your cursor is, you can highlight the whole row. Gives you the load data for IMR powder. If you want Winchester powder, Winchester 760. Again, it gives you your case overall length, things of that nature. It's really good load data. I come here quite often and I find all kinds of information here. Let's go look at the pistol section right here. So now we're looking at pistol data. Let's say 45 ACP. Let's go look at that. .45 ACP. What weight of bullet? 180. I don't know. 240. 230. Let's go 230. Let's go hit 230, and we're going to use Winchester powder. Say we have some Winchester 231. Hit Get Data, and it'll give us the data specific to what we pushed in there. It'll give us only that powder and only that weight of bullet. Winchester 231 powder, .452 diameter bullet. This is a lead round nose bullet. 1.20 overall length, 4.3 on the low, 5.3 on the high. The low velocity 699, high velocity 834. And again, this is just through the Hodgdon website. Okay, you could do this like I mentioned earlier. You can find the same exact thing from the Winchester website and the IMR website. It doesn't change. It's the same exact guide, same exact information. It takes you to the same exact place. Notice we got to it from IMR, but now it relocated us to the Hodgdon. Look at this, reloading education. This gives you some reloading for beginners, some little tips and things that you can look at, and it gives you specific things. Reloading the 223. Let's take that a little further. Look at that. Varmint loads, military duplicate loads. I don't know if it'll let you click on those, but you know, it's kind of a neat source of information online. Pretty cool. But it's all based on this Reloading Data Center page off of Hodgdon. Say we want to look at pistol. We did that just a minute ago, right? And say you get to here and you're like, wait a minute, I want to find a load for a 7.62, but I'm on the pistol tab. Just go to the rifle tab. 7.62 by 39 Russian. Let's go find it. Right there. Bam. What kind of weight? 125. What kind of powder? Let's go with IMR powder. I have some 4198. Oh, I don't have none of that. Let's see, what kind of Hodgdon can I do it with Varget? Nope. H4198. So then you come down here, you specify what you got, hit the reloading data, and it tells you there's one load that it's found. There's all your data right there, folks. I hope you found this useful. Look at this. Midway case, 1 by 9.4. Oh, 1 and 9. Oh, 1 and 9 twist. CCI 200 large rifle primers. They shot it out of a 24-inch barrel. Trim length of the brass was 1.518. And again, they were using H4198. 2.150 was the overall length. 24.5 was the low. 26.5 was the high. So anyway, folks, I want to say thank you. I hope that you found some good, useful information. And we'll talk to you soon. Later. Well, everybody, I want to say thank you for watching my video today on load data. I hope that I gave you some good information, and I hope that the video wasn't too long-winded. I know sometimes I get to talking, and it's not my intention to make a long video. It's simply my intention to give you guys a ton of information, at least what I know. So anyway, I want to say thanks for watching. Please feel free to thumb up on this video. Please feel free to comment down below. Please feel free to like the video, share the video, and if you like the content on my channel, I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to me. So until next time, have a beautiful day. Now go out there and research your load data. Bye-bye.